With arms against the Amazons I have furnished the Greeks. Arms remain for me to present, Penthesilea, 1001 to thee and to thy squadrons. Go to the combat equally prepared, and may those prove the victors whom genial Dion 1002 favors, and the boy who flies over the whole world. It was not fair for the females unprotected to engage with the men in arms, and so it would have been disgraceful for you to conquer, ye men. One of the multitude may say, why add venom to the serpent? And why deliver the sheepfold to the ravening wolf? Forbear to lay the culpability of the few upon the many, and let each fair one be considered according to her own deserts. If the younger son of Atreus has Helen, and the elder son of Atreus 1003 has the sister of Helen, to charge with criminality, if the son of Oclus, 1004 through the wickedness of Eriphyle, daughter of Talaon, alive, and with living steeds, descended to Styx, there is Penelope constant, while her husband was wandering for twice 5 years, and for as many years engaged in war. Witness the hero from Phylace, 1005 and her who was said to have descended as the companion of her husband, and to have died before her destined years. The wife from Pagasae redeemed the son of Pheres 1006 from death, and in place of 1007 the funeral of her husband, the wife was carried out. Receive me, Capaneus, we will mingle our ashes, said the daughter of Iphis, and she leapt on the midst of the pile. Virtue, herself, too, is a female, both in dress and name. 'Tis not to be wondered at, if she favors her own sex. But still, 'tis not such dispositions as these that are required by my art. Sails of less magnitude are befitting my skiff. 1008 Nothing but wanton dalliance is taught by me. In what manner a woman is to be loved, I purpose to teach. The woman repels neither the flames, nor the cruel bow. Those weapons, I see, make less havoc among the men. Many a time do the men prove false, not often the charming fair, and, if you make inquiry, they have but few charges of fraud against them. Jason, the deceiver, repudiated the Phasian, when now a mother, and into the bosom of the son of Aeson there came another bride. 1009 Ariadne, left alone in an unknown spot, had fed the sea-birds, so far, Theseus, as thou wast concerned. Inquire why she is said to have gone on her 9 journeys, 1010 and hear how the woods lamented Phyllis, their foliage laid aside. And Elissa, she has the credit of affection, and still, that guest of thine, Elissa, afforded both the sword and the cause for thy destruction. Shall I tell what it was that ruined thee? Thou didst not know how to love, thou wast wanting in skill, through skill, love flourishes forever. Even still would they have been ignorant, but Cytherea commanded me to instruct them, and stood, herself, before my eyes. Then to me she said, why have the unfortunate fair deserved this? An unarmed multitude is handed over to the men in arms. 2 treatises 1011 have rendered them skillful, this side, as well, must be instructed by thy advice. He who before had uttered 1012 reproaches against the wife from Therapne, soon sang her praises to a more fortunate lyre. If well I know thee, injure not the fair whom thou dost adore, their favour must be sought by thee so long as thou shalt live. Thus she said, and from the myrtle, for she was standing with her locks wreathed with myrtle, she gave me a leaf and a few berries. Receiving them, I was sensible of the divine influence as well, the sky shone with greater brightness, and all care departed from my breast. While she inspires my genius, hence receive the precepts, ye fair, which propriety, and the laws, and your own privileges, 1013 allow you. Even now, be mindful of old age, that one day will come, then will no time be passed by you in idleness. Disport yourselves, while yet you may, and while even now you confess to your true years, after the manner of the flowing stream, do the years pass by. Neither shall the water which has passed by, be ever recalled, nor can the hour which has passed, ever return. You must employ your youthful age, with swift step ages gliding on, and that which follows, is not so pleasing as that which having passed was charming. Those brakes, which are withering, I have beheld as beds of violets, from amid those brambles, has a beauteous chaplet been gathered for myself. The time will be, when you, who are now shutting out a lover, will be lying, an old woman, chilled in the lonely night. No door 1014 of yours will be broken open in the broils of the night, nor will you find in the morning your threshold bestrewed with roses. 1015 How soon, Ami, are our bodies pursed with wrinkles, and that color which existed in the beauteous face, fades away. The gray hairs, too, which you might have sworn that you had had from childhood, will suddenly be sprinkled over all your head. Old age is thrown off by serpents, together with the light slough, and the shedding of their horns makes the stags not to be old. Our advantages fly irretrievably, pluck the flowers then, if they be not plucked, they will lamentably fade themselves to your sorrow. Besides, childbearing makes the hours of youth more short-lived, with continual crops the soil waxes old. Endymion of Latmus, O moon, causes not thee to blush, nor was Cephalus a prey for the rosy goddess to be ashamed of. Though Adonis be allowed to Venus, whom she yet laments, whence had she Aeneas and Hermione 1016 for her children? Follow, O race of mortals, the example of the goddesses, and refuse not your endearments to the eager men. Even should they deceive you, what do you lose? All remains the same. Were 1,000 to partake thereof, nothing is wasted thereby. Iron is worn away, stones are consumed by use, your persons are proof against all apprehension of detriment. Who would forbid light to be taken from another light presented? Or who, on the deep sea, would hoard up the expanse of waters? But 'tis not right, you say, for any woman to grant favors to a man. Tell me, what are you losing but the water, which you may take up again? 1017 Nor are my words urging you to prostitution, but they are forbidding you to fear evils that do not exist. Your favors are exempt from loss to yourselves. But while I am in harbor, let a gentle breeze impel me, destined to sail with the blasts of a stronger gale. I begin with dress. 1018 From the well-dressed vine Bacchus has birth, and in the well-dressed field the high corn springs up. Beauty is the gift of the divinity, how many a one prides herself on her beauty. Still, a great part 1019 of you is wanting in such endowments. Care will confer charms, charms neglected will perish, even though she be like the Idalian goddess. If the fair of olden times did not pay such attention to their persons, neither had the ancients men so well dressed. If Andromache was clad in a coarse tunic, what wonder is it? She was the wife of a hardy soldier. And would his companion, forsooth, come bedecked to Ajax, him whose covering was 7 hides of oxen? Formerly a rustic simplicity existed, now gorgeous Rome possesses the wealth of the subdued earth. See the Capitol, what it now is and what it was, you would declare that they belong to different Jupiters. The Senate House, which is now right worthy of an assemblage so august, when Tatius held the sway, was made of straw. The fields of the Palatine Hill, which are now resplendent in honor of Phoebus 1020 and our rulers, what were they but pastures for the oxen that plowed? Let old times delight others. I congratulate myself that I am born thus late. This is the age that is suited to my tastes. Not because the pliable gold is now dug out of the earth, and choice shells 1021 come here from foreign shores, nor yet because, the marble cut out, mountains diminish, nor yet because the azure waves are kept out by the moles. 1022 But because civilization prevails, and because the rude manners that flourished with our ancient forefathers have not come down to our days. But do not you as well load your ears with precious stones, which the tawny Indian seeks in the green waves. And do not go forth heavily loaded with clothes embroidered with gold, by the wealth through which you seek to attract us, you often drive us away. By neatness we are captivated, let not your hair be without arrangement, the hands applied to it both give beauty and deny it. The method, too, of adorning is not a single one, let each choose the one that is becoming it to her, and let her first consult her mirror. An oval face becomes a parting upon the unadorned head. Laodamia had her hair thus arranged. Round features 1023 require a little not to be left for them on the top of the head, so that the ears may be exposed. Let the hair of another he thrown over either shoulder. In such guise art thou, tuneful Phoebus, thy lyre being assumed. Let another lave her hair tied behind after the manner of well-girt Diana, as she is wont when she hunts the scared wild beasts. It becomes another to have her floating locks to flow loosely, another must be bound by fillets over her fastened tresses. Another it delights to be adorned with the figure of the tortoise 1024 of the Selenian god, let another keep up her curls that resemble the waves. 1025. But neither will you count the acorns on the branching native oak, nor how many bees there are in Hybla, nor how many wild beasts on the Alps, nor am I able to comprehend in numbers so many modes, each successive day brings a new fashion. Even neglected locks are becoming to many, often would you suppose that they are lying neglected since yesterday, the very moment before they have been combed afresh. Let art imitate chance. 'Twas thus that, in the captured city, when Hercules beheld Iole, her, said he, do I love. In such guise, deserted fair one of Knossos, did Bacchus bear thee away in his chariot, while the satyrs shouted Evo. Oh, how indulgent is nature to your beauty, whose blemishes can be atoned for in fashions so numerous. We men, to our misfortune, become bald, and our hair, carried away by time, falls off, like Boreas shaking down the leaves. The female stains her grey hair with the herbs from Germany, 1026, and by art a color is sought superior to the genuine one. The female walks alone, thickly covered with purchased hair, and for money 1027 she makes that of others. Here comes those of fair complexion, black became the laughter of brises. Nor is she ashamed to buy it openly, we see it being sold before the eyes of Hercules 1028 in the virgin throng. What am I to say on clothing? Gold flounces, 1029 I have no need of you, nor you, the wool which dost blush twice dipped in Tyrian purple. Since so many colors can be procured at a lower price, what folly it is to be carrying a fortune on one's person. 1030 Lo. There is the color of the sky, at the time when the sky is without clouds, and the warm south wind is not summoning the showers of rain. Lo. There is the color like to thee, that art said 1031 once to have borne away Phrixus and Helle from the treachery of Ino. That which resembles the waves, 1032 has its name, too, from the waves. I could imagine that the nymphs are clad in vestments of this color. Another resembles saffron, in saffron-colored garments is the dewy goddess dressed, when she yokes her steeds that bear the light of day. Another resembles the Paphian myrtles, another the purple amethysts, or the white roses, or the Thracian crane. Neither are there wanting, Amaryllis, 1033 thy chestnuts, nor yet almonds, and wax 1034 has given its own name to woolen textures. As many as the flowers which the renewed earth produces, when in warm spring the vine puts forth its buds, and sluggish winter retreats, so many, or still more, shades of dye does the wool imbibe. Choose them by rule, for every color will not be suitable to every complexion. When she was carried off, then, too, was she clothed in a dark garment. White befits the swarthy, in white, daughter of Cepheus, thou wast charming, by thee, thus clothed, was Seriphos 1035 trodden. How nearly was I recommending you that there should be no shocking goat 1036 in the armpits, and that your legs should not be rough with harsh hair. But I am not instructing fair ones from the crags of Caucasus, and who are drinking, Mission Caicus, of thy waves. Besides, need I to recommend that idleness should not blacken your teeth, and that your mouth ought to be washed each morning with water used for the purpose? You know, too, how to find whiteness in an application of wax. 1037 She who is blushing with no real blood, is blushing by the aid of art. With skill do you fill up the bared edges of the eyebrows, 1038 and the little patch 1039 covers your cheeks in all their genuineness. 'Tis no harm, too, to mark the eyes 1040 slightly with ashes, or with saffron, produced, beauty is Cydnus, near to thee. I have a little treatise, 1041 but through the care bestowed, a great work, in which I have mentioned the various recipes for your beauty. From that as well, do you seek aid for your diminished charms? My skill is not idle in behalf of your interests. But let not your lover discover the boxes exposed upon the table. Art, by its concealment only, gives aid to beauty. Whom would not the paint disgust, besmeared all over your face, when, through its own weight, it flows and falls upon your heated bosom? Why is the smell of the oesopum 1042 so powerful, sent from Athens though it be, an extract drawn from the filthy fleece of the sheep. Nor would I recommend you in his presence to apply the mixture of the marrow of the deer, 1043, nor before him to clean your teeth. These things will give you good looks, but they will be unbecoming to be seen. There are many things, too, which, disgusting while being done, add charms when done. The statues which now bear the name of the laborious Myron, 1044, were once a sluggish weight and a solid mass. That the ring may be made, the gold is first beaten. The clothes that you are wearing were once dirty wool. While it was being wrought, it was hard stone. Now, as a beautiful statue, 1045, naked Venus is wringing the moisture from her dripping locks. You too, while you are dressing, let us suppose to be asleep, after the finishing hand, you will be seen much more apropos. Why is the cause of the fairness of your complexion known to me? Shut the door of your chamber, why expose the work half done? It is proper for the men to be in ignorance of many a thing. The greatest part of things would cause disgust, if you were not to conceal what is within. Examine the gilded statues which hang in the decorated theatre, how thin the tinsel that covers the wood. But it is not permitted the public to approach them unless completed, neither ought your charms to be heightened unless the men are at a distance. But I would not forbid you to allow your hair to be combed in their presence, so that it may be flowing along your back. Only take care especially on such occasions not to be cross, and do not many times undo your hair, pulled down, when fastened up. Let your coiffures be with a whole skin. I detest her who tears the face of her attendant with her nails, and who, seizing the hairpin, pierces her arms. 1046, as she touches the head of her mistress, she curses it, and at the same time, streaming with blood, she is crying over the odious locks. The fair one that has but little hair, let her set a watch on her threshold, or let her always make her toilet in the temple. 1047 of the good goddess. I was unexpectedly announced as having paid a visit to a certain lady. In her confusion, she put on her locks the wrong side before. May a cause of shame so disgraceful fall to the lot of my foes, and may that dishonor happen to the Parthian dames. A mutilated animal is repulsive, the fields without grass are repulsive, and so is a shrub without foliage, and a head without hair. You have not come to be instructed by me, Semele, or Leda, thou, too, Sidonian fair, 1048, who wast born across the sea upon the fictitious bull, or Helen, whom, Menelaus, not without reason, thou didst demand to be restored to thee, and whom, not without reason, thou Trojan ravisher, didst retain. A multitude comes to be instructed, both pretty and ugly damsels, and the unsightly are ever more in number than the good-looking. The beauteous care less for the resources and the precepts of art, they have their own endowments, charms that are powerful without art. When the sea is calm, the sailor rests free from care. When it becomes boisterous, he appeals to his own resources. Few, however, are the forms free from defect. Conceal your blemishes, and, so far as you can, hide the imperfections of your person. If you are short, sit down, that, while standing, you may not appear to be sitting, and if of a diminutive size, throw yourself upon your couch. Here, too, that your measure may not be able to be taken as you lie, take care that your feet are concealed with the clothes 1049 thrown over them. She who is too thin, let her wear clothes of thick texture, and let her vestments hang loosely from her shoulders. Let her who is pale, tint her complexion with purple stripes. 1050, do you that are more swarthy, have recourse to the aid of the Pharian fish. 1051, let an ill-shaped foot be always concealed in a boot of snow-white leather steeped in alum, and do not unloose their laced sandals from the spindly legs. For high shoulders, small pads are suitable. 1052, and let the girth 1053 encircle the bosom that is too prominent. She whose fingers are dumpy, and whose nails are rough, should mark with but little gesture whatever is said. She whose breath is strong-smelling, should never talk with an empty stomach, and she should always stand at a distance 1054 from her lover's face. If your teeth are black, or large, or not, growing straight, you will suffer very great inconvenience from laughing. Who could have supposed it? The fair take lessons even in laughing, and even in that respect is gracefulness studied by them. Let your mouth be but moderately open, let the dimples on either side be but small, and let the extremity of the lips cover the upper part of the teeth. And do not let your sides be shaking with prolonged laughter, but let them utter sounds gentle and feminine, to I know not what degree. Some there are, who distort their face with an unsightly grin, another, when she is joyous in her laughter, you would take to be crying. Another makes a harsh noise, and screams in a disagreeable manner, just as the unsightly she-ass brays by the rough millstone. To what point does not art proceed? Some study how to weep with grace, and cry at what time and in what manner they please. Nay, further, when the letters are deprived of their full sound, and the lisping tongue becomes contracted with an affected pronunciation, then is grace sought in an imperfection. To pronounce certain words badly, they learn to be less able to speak than they really are. To all these points, since they are of consequence, give attention. Learn how to walk with steps suited to a female. Even in the gait, there are certain points of gracefulness not to be disregarded. This both attracts and repels men who are strange to you. This fair one moves her sides with skill, and with her flowing tunics catches the breeze, and haughtily moves her extended feet. Another walks just like the red-faced spouse of some Umbrian 1055 husband, and, straddling, takes huge strides. But, as in many other things, let there be a medium here as well. One movement is clownish, another movement will be too mincing in its gait. But let the lower part of your shoulders, and the upper part of your arm be bare, to be beheld from your left hand upwards. This is especially becoming to you, ye of fair complexion. When I see this, I have always a longing to give a kiss to the shoulder, where it is exposed. The sirens were monsters of the deep, which with their tuneful voices detained the ships, even though in full career. On hearing them, the son of Sisyphus 1056 almost released his body from the mast, for the wax 1057 was melted in the ears of his companions. The voice is an insinuating quality, let the fair learn how to sing. In place of beauty, her voice has proved the recommendation of many a woman. And sometimes let them repeat what they have heard in the marble theaters, and sometimes the songs attuned to the measures of the Nile. 1058 Neither, in my way of thinking, ought a clever woman to be ignorant how to hold the plectrum 1059 in her right hand, the lyre in her left. Orpheus of Rhodope with his lyre moved rocks, and wild beasts, and the lakes of Tartarus, and Cerberus the triple dog. At thy singing, most righteous avenger of thy mother, 1060 the attentive stones built up the walls. The fish, the well-known story of the lyre of Arion, 1061 although he was dumb, is supposed to have been moved by his voice. Learn, too, to sweep the chords of the festive psaltery 1062 with your two hands. 'Tis an instrument suited to amorous lays. Let the songs of Callimachus 1063 be known to you, let those of the poet of Cos, 1064 let the Timaeus too, of the drunken old bard. Let Sappho, too, be well known, for what is there more exciting than she? Or than him, through whom 1065 the father is deceived by the tricks of the crafty Geta? You may, too, have read the poems of the tender Propertius, 1066 or something of Gallus, or thy works, Tibullus. 1067 the fleece, too, so bewailed, O Phrixus, of thy sister, shining with its yellow hair, celebrated by Varro. 1068 the exiled Aeneas, as well, the first origin of lofty Rome, 1069 than which no work exists in Latium of greater fame. Perhaps, too, my name will be mingled among these, and my writings will not be consigned to the waters of Lethe. And people will one day say, read the elegant lines of our master, in which he instructs the two sides. 1070 or of his three books, which the title designates as, the Amours, choose a portion to read with skillful lips, in a languishing way. Or let his epistles be repeated by you with well-modulated voice. This kind of composition, 1071 unknown to others, did he invent. O Phoebus, mayst thou so will it, so too, ye benignant divinities of the poets, Bacchus, graceful with thy horns, and you, ye nine goddesses. Who can doubt that I should wish the far one to know how to dance, that, the wine placed on table, she may move her arms in cadence, when requested? Masters of posture, 1072 the representations on the stage, are much valued, so much gracefulness does that pliant art possess. I am ashamed to advise on trifling points, to understand how to throw a cast of dice, and, by value, the cube when thrown. And now let her throw the 3 numbers, now let her consider, at which number she can cleverly enter most conveniently, and which one she must call for. 1073 and, with her skill, let her play not amiss at the hostilities of the pieces, 1074 when the single man perishes between his 2 enemies. How the warrior, 1075 wages the war when caught without his companion, and how the enemy full oft retreats on the path on which he has begun. Let the smooth balls, 1076 be poured into the open net, and not a ball must be moved but the one which you shall be lifting up. There is a kind of game, 1077 distributed into as many lines on a small scale, as the fleeting year contains months. A little table receives 1078 3 pebbles on each side, on which to bring one's own into a straight line, is to gain the victory. Devise 1,000 amusements. 'Tis shocking for the fair one not to know how to play, many a time, while playing, is love commenced. But the least matter is how to use the throws to advantage, 'tis a task of greater consequence to lay a restraint on one's manners. While we are not thinking, and are revealed by our very intentness, and, through the game, our feelings, laid bare, are exposed, anger arises, a disgraceful failing, and the greed for gain, quarrels, too, and strife, and, then, bitter regrets. Recriminations are uttered, the air resounds with the brawl, and everyone for himself invokes the angry divinities. There is no trusting 1079 the tables, and, amid vows, new tables are called for, full oft, too, have I seen cheeks wet with tears. May Jupiter avert from you indiscretions so unbecoming, you, who have a care to be pleasing to any lover. To the fair, has nature, in softer mood, assigned these amusements, with materials more abundant do the men disport. They have both the flying ball, 1080 and the javelin, and the hoop, and arms, and the horse trained to go round the ring. No plain of Mars receives you, nor does the spring of the Virgin, 1081 so intensely cold, nor does the Etrurian 1082 river carry you along with its smooth stream. But you are allowed, and it is to your advantage, to go in the shade of Pompey's portico, at the time when the head is heated by the steeds of the constellation of the Virgin. 1083 frequent the Palladium, consecrated to the laurel-bearing Phoebus, 'twas he that overwhelmed in the deep the ships of Parsitonium. 1084 the memorials, also, which the Bister and the wife 1085 of our ruler have erected, his son-in-law 1086 too, his head encircled with naval honors. Frequent the altars of the Memphian heifer, 1087 that smoke with frankincense, frequent the 3 theaters, 1088 in conspicuous positions. Let the sand, stained with the warm blood, have you for spectators, the goal, also, to be passed with the glowing wheels. 1089. That which lies hid is unknown, for what is not known there is no desire. All advantage is lost, when a pretty face is without one to see it. Were you to excel even Thamyras 1090 and Eusebius in your singing, there would be no great regard for your lyre, while unknown. If Apelles of Cos 1091 had never painted Venus, she would have lain concealed beneath the ocean waves. What but fame alone is sought by the hallowed poets? The sum of all my labors has that crowning object. In former days, poets were 1092 the care of rulers and of kings, and the choirs of old received great rewards. Hallowed was the dignity, and venerable the name of the poets, and upon them great riches were often bestowed. Ennius, born in the mountains of Calabria, was deemed worthy, great Scipio, to be placed near to thee. 1093 At the present day, the ivy lies abandoned, without any honor, and the laborious anxiety that toils for the learned muses, receives the appellation of idleness. But be it our study to lie on the watch for fame, who would have known of Homer, if the Iliad, a never-dying work, had lain concealed? Who would have known of Danae, if she had been forever shut up, and if, till an old woman, she had continued concealed in her tower? The throng, ye beauteous fair, is advantageous to you, turn your wandering steps full oft beyond your thresholds. The she-wolf goes on her way to the many sheep, that she may carry off but one, and the bird of Jove pounces down upon the many birds. Let the handsome woman, too, present herself to be seen by the public, out of so many, perhaps there will be one for her to attract. In all places, let her ever be desirous to please, and, with all attention, let her have a care for her charms. Chance is powerful everywhere, let your hook be always hanging ready. In waters where you least think it, there will be a fish. Many a time do the hounds wander in vain over the woody mountains, and sometimes the stag falls in the toils, with no one to pursue him. What was there for Andromeda, when bound, less to hope for, than that her tears could possibly charm anyone? Many a time, at the funeral of a husband, is another husband found. To go with the tresses dishevelled, and not to withhold your lamentations, is becoming. But avoid those men who make dress and good looks their study, and who arrange their locks, each in its own position. What they say to you, they have repeated to 1,000 damsels. Their love is roving, and remains firm in no one spot. What is the woman to do, when the man, himself, is still more effeminate, and himself perchance may have still more male admirers? You will hardly believe me, but still, do believe me, Troy would have been still remaining, if it had followed the advice of its own Priam. 1094 There are some men who range about, under a fictitious appearance of love, and, by means of such introductions, seek disgraceful lucre. And do not let the locks deceive you, shining much with the liquid nard, 1095 Nor yet the narrow belt, 1096 pressed upon the folds of their dress. Nor let the robe of finest texture beguile you, nor yet if there shall be many and many a ring 1097 on their fingers. Perhaps the best dressed of the number of these may be some thief, 1098 and may be attracted by a desire for your clothes. Give me back my property, full oft do the plundered fair ones cry, give me back my property, the whole forum resounding with their cries. Thou, Venus, 1099 unmoved, and you, ye goddesses, 1101 hear the Appian way, from your temples blazing with plenteous gold, behold these disputes. There are even certain names notorious by a reputation that admits of no doubt. Those females who have been deceived by many, share the criminality of their favorites. Learn, then, from the complaints of others, to have apprehensions for yourselves, and do not let your door be open to the knavish man. Refrain, Cecropian fair, from believing Theseus, 1102 when he swears, the gods whom he will make his witnesses, he has made so before. And no trust is there left for thee, Demophon, heir to the criminality of Theseus, since Phyllis has been deceived. If they are lavish of their promises, in just as many words do you promise them, if they give, do you, too, give the promised favors. That woman could extinguish the watchful flames of Vesta, and could bear off the sacred things, daughter of Inachus, 1103 from thy temples, and could administer to her husband the aconite, mixed with the pounded hemlock, if on receiving a present she could deny a favor. My feelings are prompting me to go too close, check the rein, my muse, and be not hurled headlong by the wheels in their full career. Should lines, written on the tablets made of fir, try the soundings, let a maid suited for the duty take in the billets that are sent. Examine them, and collect from the words themselves, whether he only pretends what you are reading, or whether he entreats anxiously, and with sincerity. And after a short delay, write an answer. Delay ever stimulates those in love, if it lasts only for a short time. But neither do you make yourself too cheap to the youth who entreats, nor yet refuse, with disdainful lips, what he is pressing for. Cause him both to fear and to hope at the same moment, and oft as you refuse him, let hopes more assured, and diminished apprehensions arise. Write your words, ye fair, in a legible hand, but of common parlance, and such as are usual. The recognized forms of language are most pleasing. How oft has the wavering lover been inflamed by a letter, and how oft has uncouth language proved detrimental to a graceful form. But since, although you are without the honors of the fillet of chastity, it is still your care to deceive your husbands, 1104 let the skilled hand of a maid, or of a boy, carry the tablets, and don't entrust your pledges to some unknown youth. I myself have seen the fair pale with terror on that account, enduring, in their misery, servitude to all future time. Perfidious, indeed, is he who retains such pledges, but still in them he has power equal to the lightnings of Etna. In my opinion, deceit is allowable, for the purpose of repelling deceit, and the laws permit us to take up arms against the armed. one hand should be accustomed to write in numerous styles. Perdition to those, through whom this advice must be given by me. Nor is it safe to write, except when the wax is quite smoothed over, so that the same tablet may not contain two hands. 1105 Let your lover be always styled a female when you write, in your billets let that be she, which really is he. But I wish to turn my attention from trifles to things of more consequence, and with swelling canvas to expand my filling sails. It conduces to good looks to restrain habits of anger. Fair peace becomes human beings, savage fury wild beasts. With fury the features swell, with blood the veins grow black, the eyes flash more wildly than the Gorgonian fires. Pipe, hence avaunt, 1106 Thou art not of so much worth to me, said Pallas, when she saw her features in the stream. You too, if you were to look at your mirror in the midst of your anger, hardly could anyone distinctly recognize her own countenance. And, in no less degree, let not a repulsive haughtiness sit upon your features, by alluring eyes love must be enticed. Believe me, ye fair who know it by experience, I hate immoderate conceit. Full oft do the features in silence contain the germs of hatred. Look at him who looks on you, smile sweetly in return to him who smiles. Does he nod at you, do you, too, return the sign well understood? When the boy Cupid has made these preludes, laying aside his foils, he takes his sharp arrows from his quiver. I hate the melancholy damsels too. Let Ajax be charmed with Tecmessa, 1107 Us, a joyous throng, the cheerful woman captivates. Never should I have asked thee, Andromache, nor thee, Tecmessa, that one of you would be my mistress. I seem hardly ably to believe it, though by your fruitfulness I am obliged to believe it, that you could have granted your favors to your husbands. And could, forsooth, that most melancholy woman say to Ajax, my life, in words which are wont to please the men? What forbids me to apply illustrations from great matters to small ones, and not to be standing in awe of the name of a general? To this person the skillful general has entrusted 100 to be ruled with the twig of vine, 1108 to this one so many cavalry, to that one he has given the standard to defend. Do you, too, consider, to what use each of us is suited, and class each one in his assigned position? Let the rich man give his presents, let him that professes the law, defend, the eloquent man may often plead the cause of his client. We who compose verses alone let us contribute. This throng, before all others, is susceptible of love. Far and wide do we herald the praises of the beauty that pleases us. Nemesis 1109 has fame, Cynthia, too, has fame. The West and the lands of the East know of Lycoris, and many a one is inquiring who my Corinna is. Besides, all deceit is wanting in the hallowed. Poets, and even our art contributes to forming our manners. No ambition influences us, no love of gain, despising the courts, the couch and the shade are the objects of our commendation. But we are easily attracted, and are consumed by a lasting heat, and we know how to love with a constancy most enduring. Indeed, we have our feelings softened by the gentle art, and our manners are in conformity with our pursuits. Be kind, ye fair, to the Aeonian bards. In them there is inspiration, and the Pyrrhian maids show favor unto them. In us a divinity exists, and we have intercourse with the heavens. From the realms of the skies does that inspiration proceed. 'Tis a crime to look for a present from the learned poets. Ah, wretched me! Of this crime no fair one stands in dread. Still, do act the dissemblers, and at the very first sight, do not be ravenous. On seeing your nets, a new lover will stop short. But neither can the rider manage with the same reins the horse which has but lately felt the bridle, and that which is well trained, nor yet must the same path be trod by you in order to captivate the feelings that are steadied by years, and inexperienced youth. The latter is raw, and now for the first time known in the camp of love, who, a tender prey, has reached your chamber, with you alone is he acquainted, to you alone would he ever prove constant. Shun a rival, so long as you alone shall possess him, you will be the conqueror. Both sovereignties and love do not last long with one to share in them. The other, the veteran soldier, will love you gradually, and with moderation, and he will put up with much that will not be endured by the novice. He will neither break down your doorposts, nor burn them with raging flames, nor will he fly at the tender cheek of his mistress with his nails. He will neither tear his own clothes, nor yet the clothes of the fair, nor will her torn locks be a cause for grieving. These things befit boys, who are heated with youthful years and with passion. The other, with tranquil feelings, will put up with cruel wounds. With slowly consuming fires will he smolder, just like a damp torch, or like the wood that has been cut down upon the mountain ridge. This passion is more sure, the former is short-lived and more bounteous. With speedy hand do you pluck the fruit that passes away. Let all points be surrendered, the gates we have opened to the enemy, and let confidence be placed in this perfidious betrayal. That which is easily conceded, but badly supports a lasting passion. A repulse must now and then be mingled with your joyous dalliance. Let him lie down before your doors, cruel door, let him exclaim, and let him do many a thing in humble, many in threatening mood. The sweet we cannot endure, with bitter potions we may be refreshed. Full oft does the bark perish, overwhelmed by favoring gales. This it is that does not permit wives to be loved, husbands have access to them, whenever they please. Shut your door, 11:10, and let your porter say to you with surly lips, you cannot come in, desire will seize you as well, thus shut out. Now lay aside the blunted swords, let the battle be fought with sharpened ones. And I doubt not but that I myself shall be aimed at with weapons of my own furnishing. While the lover that has been captured only of late is falling into your toils, let him hope that he alone has admission to your chamber. But soon let him be aware of a rival, and a division of the privileges of your favors. Remove these contrivances, and his passion will grow effete. Then does the high-mettled courser run well, the starting place being opened, when he has both competitors to pass by, and those for him to follow. Harshness rekindles the flame, even if gone out. Myself to wit, I confess it, I do not love unless I am ill-used. Still, the cause for grief should not be too manifest, and in his anxiety he ought to suspect that there is more than what he actually knows. The harsh supervision, too, of some feigned servant should excite him, and the irksome watchfulness of a husband too severe. The pleasure that is enjoyed in safety is the least valued of all. Though you are more at liberty than even Thais, 11:11 still feign apprehensions. Whereas you could do it far better by the door, admit him through the window, and on your countenance show the signs of fear. Let the cunning maid rush in, and exclaim, we are undone, and then do you hide the youth in his fright in any spot. Still, an enjoyment without anxiety must be interspersed with his alarms, lest he should not think your favors to be worth so much trouble. But I was about to omit by what methods the cunning husband may be eluded, and how the watchful keeper. Let the wife stand in awe of her husband, let the safe-keeping of a wife be allowed. That is proper, that the laws, and justice, and decency ordain. But for you as well to be watched, whom the lictor's rod 11:12 has but just set at liberty, who can endure it? Come to my sacred rites, that you may learn how to deceive. Even if as many eyes shall be watching you, as Argus had, if there is only a fixed determination, you will deceive them all. And shall a keeper, forsooth, hinder you from being able to write, when an opportunity is given you for taking the bath? When a female confidant can carry the note you have penned, which her broad girth 11:13 can conceal in her warm bosom? When she can conceal the paper fastened to her calf, and carry the tender note beneath her sandaled foot? Should the keeper be proof against these contrivances, in place of paper, let your confidant afford her shoulders, and upon her own person let her carry your words. Letters, too, written in new milk, are safe and escape the eye, touch them with powdered coals, and you will read them. The writing, too, which is made with the stalk of wetted flax, 11:14 will deceive, and the clean surface will bear the secret marks. The care of watching a fair one fell to Acrisius, still, through his own fault, did she make him a grandsire. What can a keeper do, when there are so many theatres in the city? When eagerly she is a spectator of the harnessed steeds? When she is sitting in attendance upon the sistra of the fairy and heifer, and at the place where her male friends are forbidden to go? While, 2, the good goddess 1115 expels the gaze of males from her temples, except any that, perchance, she bids to come, while, as the keeper watches outside the close of the fair, the baths may in safety conceal the lovers who are hiding there, while, so often as is requisite, some pretended she-friend may be sick, and, ill as she is, may give place for her in her couch. While the false key, 2, tells 1116 by its name what we are to do, and it is not the door alone that gives the access you require. The watchfulness of the keeper is eluded by plenty of wine, even though 1117 the grapes be gathered on the hills of Spain. There are drugs, too, which create deep sleep, and let them close the eyes overpowered by Lethean night. And not amiss does the confidant occupy the troublesome fellow with dalliance to create delay, and in his company spins out the time. What need is there to be teaching stratagems and trifling precepts, when the keeper may be purchased by the smallest present? Believe me, presents influence both men and gods. On gifts being presented, Jupiter himself is appeased. What is the wise man to do, when even the fool is gratified with a present? The husband himself, on receiving a present, will be silent. But once only throughout the long year must the keeper be bought, full oft will he hold out the hand which he has once extended. I complained, I recollect, that new-made friends are to be dreaded, that complaint does not extend to men alone. If you are too trusting, other women will interrupt your pleasures, and this hair of yours will be destined to be hunted down by other persons. Even she, 1118, who so obligingly lends her couch and her room, believe me, has not once only been in my company. And do not let too pretty a maid wait upon you, many a time has she filled 1119 her mistress's place for me. Whither, in my folly, am I led on? Why with bared breast do I strive against the foe, and why, myself, am I betrayed through information that is my own? The bird does not instruct the fowler in which direction he may be taken, the hind does not teach the hostile hounds how to run. Still, let interest see to itself, my precepts, with fidelity will I give. To the Lemnian dames, 1120 for my own destruction, will I present the sword. Give reason, and 'tis easy to do so, for us to believe ourselves to be loved. Belief arises readily in those who are anxious for the fulfillment of their desires. Let the fair one eye the youth in a kindly manner, let her heave sighs from her very heart, and let her inquire, why it is he comes so late. Let tears be added, too, and feigned apprehensions about a rival, and with her fingers let her tear her face. Soon will he be thoroughly persuaded, 1. He will pity you of his own accord, and will say to himself, this woman is consumed by affection for me. Especially, if he shall be well dressed, and shall please himself at the looking-glass, he will believe that the goddesses might be touched with love for him. But, whoever you are, let an injury disturb you only in a moderate degree, and don't, on hearing of a rival, go out of your mind. And don't at once believe it, how injurious it is at once to believe things. Procris will be no slight proof to you. There is near the empurpled hills of blooming Hymettus a sacred spring, and the ground is soft with the verdant turf. The wood, of no great height, there forms a grove, the strawberry tree overshadows the grass, rosemary, and laurels, and swarthy myrtles give their perfume. Neither the box trees with their thick foliage and the slender tamarisks, nor yet the tiny trefoil and the garden pine, are wanting there. Moved by the gentle zephyrs and the balmy air, the leaves of these many kinds, and the tops of the grass quiver. Pleasant was this retreat to Cephalus, 1121 his servants and his hounds left behind, the youth, when weary, often sat down in this spot. And here he was in the habit of repeating, come, gentle aura, breeze, to be received in my bosom, that thou mayst moderate my heat. Some person, maliciously officious, with retentive lips carried the words he had heard to the timid ears of his wife. Procris, when she heard the name of aura, breeze, as though of a rival, fainted away, and with this sudden apprehension she was mute. She turned pale, just as the late leaves become wan, which the coming winter has nipped, the clusters now gathered from the vine, and as the quinces 1122 which in their ripeness are bending their boughs, and as the cornels not yet quite fit for food for man. When her senses had returned, she tore her thin garments from off her body with her nails, and wounded her guiltless cheeks. And no delay was there, raving, with dishevelled locks, she flew amid the tracks, like a bacchanal aroused by the thyrsus. When she had come near the spot, she left her attendants in the valley, and with silent footsteps, in her boldness, she herself stealthily entered the grove. What, Procris, were thy feelings, when thus, in thy frenzy, thou didst he concealed? What the impulse of thy disquieted breast? Each moment, forsooth, wast thou expecting that she would come, whoever Aura might be, and that their criminality would be witnessed with thine eyes. Now dost thou repent of having come, for indeed thou wouldst not wish to detect him, and now thou art glad, fluctuating affection is tormenting thy breast. There is the spot, and the name, and the informant to bid thee give credence, and the fact that the lover always apprehends that to exist which he dreads. When she beheld the grass beaten down, the impress of his body, her trembling bosom was throbbing with her palpitating heart. And now midday had made the unsubstantial shadows small, and at an equal distance were the evening and the morn. Behold! Cephalus, the offspring of the Cyllenian god, 1123 returns from the woods, and sprinkles his glowing face with water of the fountain. In thy anxiety, Procris, art thou lying concealed? Along the grass he lies as wont, and says, Ye gentle zephyrs, and thou Aura, breeze, come hither. When the welcome mistake of the name was thus revealed to the sorrowing fair, both her senses and the real color of her face returned. She arose, and the wife, about to rush into the embrace of her husband, by the moving of her body, shook the leaves that were in her way. He, thinking that a wild beast had made the noise, with alacrity snatched up his bow, his arrows were in his right hand. What, wretched man, art thou about? 'Tis no wild beast, keep still thy weapons. Ah, wretched me! By thy dart has the fair been pierced. Ah me, she cries aloud, a loving heart hast thou pierced. That spot has ever retained the wound inflicted by Cephalus. Before my time I die, but injured by no rival, this, O earth, will make thee light when I am entombed. Now is my breath departing in the breeze that I had thus suspected, I sink, alas! Close my eyes with those dear hands. In his sorrowing bosom he supports the dying body of his spouse, and with his tears he bathes her cruel wounds. Her breath departs, and gradually fleeting from her senseless breast, her breath 1124 is received into the mouth of her wretched husband. But let us return to our path. I must deal with my subject undisguised, that my wearied bark may reach its port. You may be waiting, in fact, for me to escort you to the banquet, and may be requesting my advice in this respect as well. Come late, and enter when the lights are brought in. Delay is a friend to passion, a very great stimulant is delay. Even should you be ugly, to the tipsy you will appear charming, and night itself will afford a concealment for your imperfections. Take up your food with your fingers. 1125 The method of eating is something, and do not besmear all your face with your dirty hand. And do not first 1126 take food at home, but cease to eat a little sooner than you could wish, and could have eaten. Had the son of Priam seen Helen greedily devouring, he would have detested her, and he would have said, That prize of mine is an oaf. It is more proper and is more becoming for the fair to drink to excess. Thou dost not, Bacchus, consort amiss with the son of Venus. This too, only so far as the head will bear it, and the senses and the feet will be able to perform their duty. 1127 And do not see each object that is single, as double. A woman sprawling alone, and drenched in plenteous wine, is a disgusting object. She is worthy to endure the embraces of any kind of fellows. And it is no safe thing when the tables are removed to fall asleep. In sleep many a shocking thing is wont to happen. I feel ashamed to instruct you any further, but genial Dion says, that which shames you is especially my own province. Let each particular then be known unto you. Motos a corpori certos. Sumite, non omnes una figura dicit. Qs faci precisinus eris, resupina jacito. Spectentur turgo, cas sua turga placent. Milanion humorize atalantis crura ferbat. Si bonus sunt, hoc sunt accipienda modo. Parva vihator equo, quat erat longissima, nunquark. Thebis hectorio nupta resedit equo. Strata primat genibus, paulum servus reflexa. Fomina, per longum conspicienda latus. Tue femores juvenile, carent cui pectora menda. Stet vir, in obliquo fusus sit ipsa toro. Nec tibi ter putacrinum, ut filia mater. Solvera, et effusus calla reflect comes. Tu quoque, cui rugis uterum lucina notavit. Ut celera versus utera par thus equus. Nil modi veneris. Simplex minimique laboris. Cum jacet in dextrum semisupina latus. Sed nec Phoebii tripods, nisi comiger amen. Vera regis vobis, quam mea musa, canent. Si qua fides arti, quam longo fecimus usu. Credite, prestabunt carmia nostra fidem. Sentient ex imus generum resoluta medullis. Fomina, atx equal residential juvat ilia duos. Nec blandi voces, jucundake murmura cessant. Nec tacent metas improba verba josus. Tu quoque, cui generis sensum natura negavit. Dulcia mendaci gaudia finge sono. Infelix, cui torpet hebes locus isle, puella ius. Quo parator debent fomina verc frui. Tantum, cumlings, nisus manifesta cavito. Ephes per modum luminicae ipsa fidem. Quod juvat it voces et angelitus arguat oris. A pudet. Arcanas pars habitis denotas. Gaudia post generis quae possit munus amantem. Ipsa suas nullit pondus habera preces. And admit not the light in your chamber with the windows wide open, many blemishes of your person more becomingly lie concealed. My pastime draws to a close, 'tis time to descend from the swans, 1128 that have borne my yoke upon their necks. As once the youths did, so now the fair, as my audience, may inscribe, Nasa was our preceptor, upon their spoils.